The votes are in as our leaders bunker down to await the result. A family rocked by its second murder in a week. And twin centuries put Australia on top in the first test. Good evening. Also tonight, a nerve-wracking walk in the clouds sets a new world record. But first, John Howard and Kim Beazley have both admitted to a bout of nerves as they cast their vote today. And well, they might. The last poll of the campaign is predicting an election cliffhanger. Polling booths have just closed and the crucial count is now underway.
At dawn on a day that will make or break his political career, John Howard was sticking to his routine.
Morning.
Good luck.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Risking everything on a new tax, the veteran of election battles admitted he's on edge.
I'm like any other candidate on a day like this. I'm a bit nervous.
On the other side of the country, Kim Beazley had family support to help him through his biggest day in politics. Back in Sydney, the member for Bennelong was campaigning until the end.
You were blocking the voters, that's all. You never block voters on election day.
Like all other Australians, Mr. Howard lined up to cast his vote.
A lucky vote, Mr. Howard. I hope so. We shall know in a few hours.
For John Howard, it seems every vote will count. A late poll suggesting the government's 27-seat majority is at risk.
The poll today in the paper says Labor's surged ahead in the last few days. What do you say to that?
How are you?
News poll puts Labor ahead by 4 on primary votes. On a two-party preferred basis, Labor has a winning lead of 53% to the coalition's 47%.
I found it a little difficult to believe.
The opposition leader lodged his vote in Rockingham, south of Perth.
I'm hopeful for today's result. We're still the underdogs, and all the last-minute polling leaves us in that status, bar one poll.
In Queensland, Pauline Hanson cast her vote, full of confidence and making a bold prediction on the support One Nation will attract.
What's my guess? 12 to 15 seats. Lower house and 6 in the Senate.
Deputy Prime Minister Tim Fischer believes the National Party will survive the challenge.
I think we'll withstand that full frontal assault, but it's been a huge effort.
In Canberra, Meg Lees was hoping the Democrats will hold the balance of power in the Senate.
It is very, very close.
John Howard and Kim Beazley will spend the night on the phone to their scrutineers and glued to the television, waiting like everyone else for a clear sign of an outcome. Damien Ryan, National 9 News.
In all, 12 million Australians were eligible to vote today and many were out early. The Electoral Commission has reported a strong turnout as we decide who will govern Australia into the next century.
If early starts are any indication, Australia's 12 million voters were exceptionally eager to send a message to the politicians. Around the nation, long lines of people waited for the doors to be opened, and the pressure kept up right through the day. And for some people, it was an extra special one.
I'm voted and I'm now going to get married.
The choices were very clear, and it was very important to make quite sure that the correct and strong candidates got in.
And there was no shortage of candidates, 1,435, representing no fewer than 34 separate parties. 1,100 people standing for the 148 seats in the House of Representatives and 329 contesting 40 Senate places.
Made it more exciting.
And because of a combination of school and public holidays, it was also made more than usually complicated for the electoral office. Polling booths at all the usual places and quite a few unusual ones.
Oh, everyone's giving me things, man.
The beach crowd was given special treatment.
Then go down to have a swim, cool off after the heat of voting.
And a lot of voting was done in airport terminals as people hurried away for the weekend. The racing fraternity had to vote before they got to the track, but special pit stops were made for fans of that other form of horsepower. Up north, they were deciding more than a choice of government. Northern Territory voters deciding whether or not their home becomes our 7th state. And they were also voting on the other side of the world, record numbers going through Australia House in London.
So here are your voting forms, fill in both forms.
And it's here in the National Tally Room in Canberra where all those votes will be counted. Because of the holiday weekend and the record number of postal and absentee votes, the agony of waiting for a verdict may not be over tonight. It could take anything up to a fortnight before the final count is complete. Peter Harvey, National 9 News.
Our live and commercial-free coverage of tonight's count begins straight after the news. Ray Martin and Laurie Oakes join us now from the National Tally Room. And, gentlemen, the result looks closer than anyone anticipated.
Yeah, there's always a sense of anticipation and excitement when the polls close on the East Coast here, but there's something special about tonight. It seems the experts, Laurie, don't really know what's going to happen.
No, they don't, and there are certainly a lot of worried coalition people in the tally room tonight, Ray, a lot of excited Labor people. They sense there's just a chance that there could be a change of government. Maybe not likely, but a chance.
Certainly Victoria, Queensland, Tasmania look like disaster zones for the government.
That's right, that's certainly where Labor is picking up most. The government is hoping that New South Wales won't reflect the same thing, and in the polls so far, New South Wales has held fairly firm for the coalition. But if that's moved too, John Howard's government's in big trouble.
No indication, as Pauline Hanson said then, of 12 seats going to the One Nation party.
Well, I guess you've got to take it seriously. They did well in the Queensland election, but certainly none of the polls suggest that. In fact, the polls are suggesting that One Nation won't get anyone elected.
All right, we'll come back with an update sometime towards the end of the bulletin.
OK, thanks for that, Ray. In other news, Sydney police are hunting a gang of men who raided a house on the Central Coast overnight, shooting dead a 21-year-old man. It happened at Wyong just after midnight. By this morning, one of the alleged bandits had been arrested and charged with murder.
It was a late-night get-together gate-crashed by men armed with guns and a baseball bat.
3 or 4 male persons dressed in balaclavas forced entry to the house.
The attackers ordered 7 people inside to hand over money. Some were clubbed. One man had both arms broken. Another, 21-year-old Alan Brown, was shot in the head.
Received a fatal gunshot wound.
One victim managed to escape, raising the alarm at nearby Wyong police station. By dawn, heavily armed police converged on nearby Charmhaven, searching bushland for the attackers. A vigilant neighbour followed them there in a car, apprehending one of the men. The search for the others lasted hours. They weren't found. Back at the house, shock and grief began to set in. Family and friends say Alan Brown died a hero, standing up to the attackers and defending others in the house.
He died a hero. He died because he wouldn't say die. He stood up to him.
He was just sticking up for the girls, really.
Last Sunday, the 21-year-old's uncle was knifed to death outside a hotel in Wyong. Police are unsure if the killings are connected.
They kept well quiet to themselves, but ever since last Sunday, it's just erupted.
A 20-year-old man will appear in court tomorrow charged with murder. Matthew Watson, National 9 News.
There's been another dangerous rock-throwing incident, this time in the city. A group of youths threw a rock from a bridge overpass, striking a taxi on the Western Distributor. The rock smashed the front windscreen. The driver was shocked but unharmed.
He'll be off for probably a few days, but we'll just take it from there to see if he'll be driving again. We're not too sure.
The driver's been offered counselling. In the news ahead, Victorians forced to wait a little longer for gas, and a truckie terrorises the streets of LA.
Laurel Kent.
It'll be at least Thursday before gas will be reconnected to more than 1 million homes in Victoria. First, the Kennett government will begin a massive television campaign, warning households about the dangers of turning the gas back on.
These are flames pouring from the Esso plant at Longford. But unlike the tragic explosion a week ago, this flaring from an escape valve was good news, a sign that gas should soon be flowing again.
We would expect to have some gas into the distribution system later in the weekend.
As already announced, larger industries will be first to benefit. Homeowners will have to wait until at least Thursday and may not all be rejoined at once. It's also been confirmed that 451 domestic and commercial customers have been found cheating the system.
That no one, and I mean no one, should attempt to turn on their gas supply until they